Next, we got to talk about everyone's favorite horror movie, Tarot.
Yes,
I
Thought We Were Friends movie. When I saw that on the list, I'm like, I didn't even know what it was. I never even saw a preview for this movie.
Look, Doug, what I like to do about these wrap-ups, I don't always want to do like reboots and big franchise stuff. I know I have to. But with these wrap-ups, I could talk about like smaller movies not based off an IP, which I thought I was doing with Fall Guy, but it turns out that was a reboot. My bad. So I usually try to throw like one or two horror things on there, like smaller horror. You know, put a spotlight.
Is that what this was?
That's what I thought it was. Then I saw the Sony logo in the beginning, and I went, "Uh-oh." So yeah,
so much justification. I'm really trying to cultivate the perfect list, and Tarot was just the perfect.
Yeah, and as I sat in the theater the other night, me and 4 other people.
You
I'm impressed there was 4.
No. People were just there. There were 4 other people there.
That's still impressive that there was 4.
Yeah. One of them was actually an old friend of mine. I didn't recognize him. He said, "Hey, yo," and I'm like, "Oh, is this a fan?" I'm like, which is fine. Which is fine. I was about to be like, "You better take a picture of me and say I'm awesome." I'm like, "Oh wait, no, you're an old friend of mine."
You better take a picture of me and say I'm awesome, old friend.
Yeah, and as the movie's playing, I'm just like, I got to apologize to these guys. This is the most generic movie ever. Okay, so just to briefly go through the plot. A bunch of friends are in a cabin in the woods, or no, a mansion in the woods. That was the original part. It was a mansion in the woods. And they find a haunted tarot card deck. Now, before I offend anyone, does anyone here believe in astrology and tarot?
Not really, though.
I didn't think anybody did really, but for Halloween last year, I got a tarot card deck, and I thought I was so clever.
Oh, wow, it's got right there.
They were like, "What's so funny about that?" And I was like, "Nothing. I think it's a very interesting way."
Yeah, I kind of that stuff just really bothers me. It just annoys me so much. So when I was watching this, them talking about their horoscopes and signs, I'm like, oh god, I want all these characters.
Such a Leo.
Look, a long time ago, I was trying to score points with a girl, and I pretended that I was interested in astrology. That was a mistake. She was way too into astrology. I'm like, yeah, I'm a Virgo, and she started sending me like charts and asking me about like the houses of my signs, and I went, I'm like, I don't like the girl this much to be putting this much effort in. Oh my god, this is a horrible mistake. So that was the scariest part of this movie, was getting flashbacks of my life.
I was gonna say that premise sounds scarier than what's in the movie.
Yeah, that is a horror movie when you pretend to be into something to get a girl, and it turns out she's way too into it.
But I can see why people get into it, because just now I had to stop myself. I was going to be like, "Oh my god, Tony, I'm a Virgo too," but then I was like, "Who cares? Just leave it, keep it to yourself."
So, they do their tarot reading, and one by one, their tarot predictions come true, and they're faced by a monster who opens his mouth and screams.
Terrified.
What?
They're terrified.
You're fired, Gil.
Gil, I appreciate the pun, but I was in the middle of a bit, you asshole. Now I have to rewind.
And he made it better. He made it better.
Rewind. Everyone forget Gilly for a second. Hold on. Okay. Gil went through a tunnel. Doug, sometimes people who call in the show, they call while they're driving, and they drive through tunnels, and they disappear.
Happens a lot.
So
that was a big car he had.
So their tarot readings come true, and they get faced by a monster who opens his mouth and screams, and a monster who opens their mouth and screams, and a monster who opens their mouth and screams, and a jester. Oh, Gil's back. A lot of variety in the monsters there. This premise isn't too bad, and I agree. I didn't mind the monsters' like look and everything. It's just the fact that they all did the horror movie. Like, I'm getting a little tired of that. Like, it's fine once in a while, but when every horror movie is just a monster going, it's like, okay, shut the fuck up. Stop yelling at me. But this is a trope that I'm seeing in everything right now. We saw it in Night Swim, Imaginary, Boogeyman. There's a moment in these supernatural horror films where they look up, Smile's another one. They look up like an expert or a survivor who knows about the demon stuff, and then they go to them for information. And this time it was this lady who I liked in Mandy and The Northman, but she was also in that terrible Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, the new one.
Yep.
And it's just I'm getting so tired of seeing the scene in every single one of these movies. I'm like,
I can't talk about it. No, don't bother me. But we have plot device. They slowly opened the door and cut to them all hurtled around. It was years ago.
But why did you make a website?
What was that?
She made a website telling her whole story, put her phone number and address, and people show up. She go away. I don't want to talk about it. Yes, you do. You do want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about that thing. I have a book on it, though. Here you go.
The one thing that they do with her that I did think was kind of fun. Do we care if we go into spoilers? And
No,
is anyone going to be
spoil
spoiled? I love they bring her in to like save the day, help us out, and she starts to do whatever the tarot reading and stuff, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm sorry," and she dies. The thing kills her. I kind of liked that, and she had the best death in the movie because every character has something that kind of looks like it could be an accident, like, oh, this person fell off a bridge, or this person got hit by a train or something, and she just drops to the ground filled with swords. Like, that is hilarious. Like a pincushion filled with swords. And I'm like, well, how do you explain that as an accident, Tarot?
She got the 6 of swords, and I'm like, that one wasn't even clever. That was just really literal.
I'm just imagining, like, Fire Marshal Bill explaining what happened. Like, okay, how was this an accident? Oh, it's very simple. You're just going through, you see a cockroach, you go, and you just happen to have all your swords on the ceiling, and you smash them, and then boom! You look like a pincushion.
Well, you're right, because the one reading is like, you're always trying to climb that ladder and this, and then she falls off a ladder. There's stuff like that. But yeah, hers was just like, you're going to get stabbed a bunch of times. And then I was groaning during this scene, so they got Spider-Man kid to be there, which, by the way, this actor is now on my shit list. He's fine in Spider-Man. But I think the last movie I saw him in was Lift, the Netflix movie, which is probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start avoiding this guy's movies. All right. He's the wacky, fun character. And he gets attacked by the Jester. And then it cuts to black. And I'm just like, he lived. And I'm like, what? All right. Maybe he figured out a way to reverse it and get away from it. And it's like, no, it's just his roommate, who we never see, I think, interrupted the monster. And then I guess the monster just ran away. And I'm like, I get you wanted to keep up. Like, we all knew he was living. Don't even do the death fake out at that point. Just make him one of the survivors. I thought that was the dumbest thing in the world.
Well, and they try to recreate Get Out at the end, where a car pulls up, and they think, oh, in the tarot reading it says something about a car, and then he gets out, and it's like, it's just the ending to Get Out. Yeah, and you're right. Like, these monsters are suddenly shy. Like, oh, there's 2 people in the room. I can't perform. Don't look at me. I can't go if you look. Like, it makes no sense.
I also felt like the Ned character was so inconsistent, where all of a sudden he's like, I'm going home by myself. Like, the tarot card reading said he was hard-headed. And I feel like he isn't the whole movie. He's like, yeah, we should totally go talk to that lady. And then all of a sudden, he's like, no one's going to talk me out of this. I'm going to walk all the way back in the dark by myself.
I just love I this whole movie. I'm just like, I would never be in this situation because I would never waste my time getting a tarot reading. Like, the demon would never know where to find me because I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. Leave me alone.
The one thing you did point out too is that the design of the tarot cards is kind of fun. Like it's these, they're not the usual kind of tarot cards. They kind of look like Tim Burton's tarot cards a little bit, and like, so you do look at these things and say, oh, it'll be fun to see what these things look like. But as you said, they just sort of pop up real quick, go and that's it, and it's over. So it's not even that impressive.
I guess that's the only like positives I have on it, is that the monsters look kind of cool. There was some interesting like production design and set design, but other than that, this movie was fucking bland as hell. Does anyone have anything nice to say that I didn't already say?
I would. Oh, go ahead, Joey.
Oh, Gilly, I'm so sorry, pal. I dug how they kept the monsters in the shadows for a lot of the movie. I don't know.
Every horror movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. I thought the creatures looked fucking awesome, but I had more fun doing my taxes. And
it was scarier.
Way scarier.
I think that's all we got to say about tarot.
Yep.
Yeah,
Wait, one more nice thing about it.
Okay.
I do think it's a cool setup. You go through the tarot readings for everyone. So now you have that, that pun, you might end up on the wrong track. How are they going to render that death? And the same thing, the tarot card designs are really cool. So you get to look forward to, when I actually see that monster, what are they going to look like?
Yeah.
And I thought the magician death was probably the most creative one, where there was like, moved my tension needle a little bit. That was cool.
The creepiest part of that was the audience watching.
Yeah, because then it's like, oh wait, do these like tarot creatures have like an audience always watching? Like that is the one where I started to question how this world works a little bit. I will also say I liked, I guess without giving away too much, the when she says when one door closes, another opens up. The payoff on that I thought was pretty clever. All the other ones, like you said, like on the wrong track. Oh well, I wonder what that's gonna be. Okay, you know, like it's not too tricky. But that one I thought was actually pretty smart.
Oh man. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I made you guys watch this.
There's always
I
one every
don't
month.
accept it.
Yeah,
You know
there's
what?
there's always a lot.
You're right. You're right to not accept my apology.
You've
I
made me
should've
watch some
looked at it-
terrible movies, but
Look, I
this
should have
one's
looked
up
at it
there.
was a Sony movie. Okay, my bad.
This was all another prequel to Spider-Man. I mean, come on. If you didn't put that together, well, that's your fault.
I feel bad. There is this new interesting slasher movie that's like playing in limited theaters about like a. It's all from the slasher's perspective, so you're following him around as he's hunting the teens. I think it's gonna be on Shudder, so we might check it out. But like, I'm like, that's what I want to talk about. But I'm like, I don't know if it's playing around me, and I don't know where it is. Same thing with I Saw the TV Glow. I hear that was really good, but at the time I was setting this up, it didn't look like it was gonna play anywhere near me. So I was just like, well, shit. So there we go. We got stuck with fucking tarot. Oops. Oops.
Right.
Next up,